welcome to this special edition of Spotlight we're calling GM's Corner, a series of regular conversations with Alamo Way's General Manager, Steve Hurwitz, about what's on his mind and what's on his desk. So nice to visit with you again, Mr. General Manager. I gather that there is still the lingering effects and certainly discussion of good old Hurricane Florence and the impact on Lake Monticello here. That's going on among staff still, is it?
It is, and of course it was an incredible event, reportedly the highest the lake has ever been. And other than some minor damage and a great deal of inconvenience for homeowners, we came through it. I wouldn't say unscathed, but certainly we avoided major damage, and I'm grateful to the staff for all the work they did. It's very important, though, to look back at what we've done and write down the things that we did that worked and document them so that in the future there can be even a more extensive plan. So we're in the process of expanding on the plan in a lesson learned way, and we'd be very grateful to hear from anybody that has a comment, positive or negative, because really in the long run it's a matter of capturing the steps that worked, anything that we need to refine on the other hand, and getting it down in writing so we can train on that. There are a number of things that we're looking to do, for example, to involve the community a little more that we already know. We'll probably be asking for some volunteers to do some things. So when we show up at the dam and decide what to do at 4 o'clock in the morning and then leave, we actually need to leave somebody behind to be continual monitoring of the dam with communications to report on anything that changes. So that in particular, we know we need to consider a real 24/7 communications in addition to the email blasts that were brilliantly done by Judy Fish.
Yeah, sure
we're all grateful for that. And then to expand on that even more, to have a 24/7 operation. So those are two items. I'm sure there's many more. We've thought of a bunch, but we'd be very, very interested in what people think.
Yeah.
And so they should email me directly.
Okay. The possibility of some sort of almost an auxiliary kind of volunteer force.
Yes, indeed.
People. Yeah.
And we could call them the Minutemen.
Well, folks
Minutemen and women, or something like that.
Folks are very good at that. We have folks that go along with the Water Safety Patrol and the like. So that's right consonant with that sort of thing.
It's true.
And speaking of, water safety and boating, it still is boating season. I mean, some of the leaves are turning, albeit, but that doesn't deter boaters. And still a concern for safety on the lake, I guess.
Well, as it should always be. And so the lake is open. We opened it a little bit after noon on Saturday for all operations. But people should be aware that there's some remnant of debris here and there, particularly in the coves. So people should be aware of that. But on a completely different matter, we're very interested in the non-motorized boaters. Me, for example, in my fleet is 2 kayaks. And what we've learned is you can put yourself in an awkward position if you're not as familiar with the ways, the nautical ways on our lake, what the lights mean, where you should be, what the buoys mean, and so forth. So currently, we've got all those rules available on a couple of sheets of paper available in the marina. And the non-motorized boaters don't have to take a test. And there's a good reason for that. Still, those rules do apply. They're out on the same waters.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to broadcasting that even more widely to make it available to people like me who need to know what a red light means and a green light and what the orientation of them means, where to be, where the motorboats are going to turn around because you don't want to be there in a non-motorized boat, and various things like that. So we're looking forward to increasingly communicating to folks about those matters that are very important.
Yeah, and it is obviously in everyone's safety,
Yes,
theirs
indeed.
as well as the motorized folks.
And a last point on that matter, just as equally important, is for the motorized boaters to understand they are responsible for their wakes. Wakes happen normally, but we have restrictions on where you can create a wake and where you can't. And people need to be aware of that too, and then also mindful of the effect on small craft, such as kayaks. The wakes really do have quite an effect. And so we're looking forward to people increasingly and absolutely following those rules for everyone's benefit.
All right. Well, that's certainly good admonition, good advice. Hope taken to heart. We're reminded from time to time about the importance of the multi number of committees we have here at the lake, something like on the order of, I think it's 18 on that. They're advisory and operational, et cetera, without going into all those differences. But the importance of it, and what I like to refer to as our continuing experiment in self-government here at the, which it really is here at the lake. And needs, vacancies on committees and needs are posted from time to time. Isn't that correct, obviously?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
A couple of committees could definitely use more people just to fulfill their roles. Overall, the committees are the engine that makes this thing go. And as you mentioned, there's a large number of them. Committees have come and gone as their functions became more or less applicable to what was our state of growth, for example. But they're really important. It gives people a place to bring their ideas, fresh ideas. It's very difficult for the board to consume all manner, multiple numbers of new ideas and do something with it, but the committees that have concentrated areas of concern, for example, wildlife, can do that. And so we really encourage people to consider volunteering in an area of interest, or even if it's something they'd like to learn more about. It does provide an opportunity for the tremendous personal and professional experience represented here to be applied. Yeah. We could put together probably a couple of Fortune 500 boards of directors with people that have done that and run companies and had serious and responsible positions in government and small business too. We also have professionals, CPAs, doctors, attorneys.
The audit committee, the finance committee we're a multi-million-dollar corporation, if you will. And
we are.
My gosh, that finance committee and that budget is not quite like my household budget. I know that.
It's a little bit more.
So
if people would think about it's not that big a commitment at time, more of expertise, and sometimes time, but the committees really are important, no question.
Yeah. Well, on a very positive side of the ledger, we have a new food and beverage services manager. What can you tell us about him?
Well, Andrew Kerner started officially Monday, although he actually came on board a week earlier and spent a few hours with the staff here and there last week. And everybody's looking forward to Andrew's ideas to build on what was done before. You know, everybody knows Chef and Nikki really did great work and continue to do great work. Nikki is critical to the operation, and we're just so pleased that she's teaming up with Andrew to be able to bring any new ideas and so forth. We have taken a look at what the community asked us to look at, the room rental rates. The board is going to officially evaluate those room rental rates as part of the budget process, so that's underway. And even given that, when it comes to individual events that people might be organizing for a group or for a family, Andrew and I have talked about this, and he agrees with taking a look at the room rates when people are coming in with a group and they'll be spending a fair amount of money on food and beverage, particularly when it's one of our groups. And so we've been able to do that. We've started to do that with the board's encouragement to do that, to make the facilities even more available to all our residents.
Where does Andrew come from?
Andrew comes from Charlottesville, where he's had a private business. He's been involved in hotels in Charlottesville, and also around the country. He's run restaurants.
Oh yeah.
He's been the general manager running the whole thing. He's also been involved in large institutions, universities, in helping run the food and beverage operation. Those are huge.
They
serve thousands of meals a day compared to our hundreds. So he brings great experience, both with large groups and small groups, and we actually are a large group because our ownership is into the thousands.
Oh yeah. Well, got an interesting food and beverage program going on. Adjunct program is music at the pubs on Thursday evening. A nice buzz around about that.
Yes,
Couple
indeed.
Have been very good.
The first one was a sellout, so to speak. The place was jam-packed. It was a great evening. The patio was full. I had to sit on the railing myself, pretty much, and very enjoyable, a new thing, and a kind of a harbinger of the kind of things that we're very interested in getting involved with. So I would say if you're interested in getting a seat on the patio, if the weather is fair, come early.
Oh, okay. One coming in and one going out as of the date we're recording this, that Chief of Police for the last 22 years, Tom Beauvais, is cycling off into the retirement as of yesterday. Would you like to talk about the process for retaining and selecting a new Chief of Police?
Yes, we're in a wonderful position for two reasons. We have some very experienced officers. In fact, Lieutenant Tony Abbott has stepped up. He is the interim Chief of Police. And of note, you have to make formal notices to a number of governmental agencies for matters like that, and we have. And so Tony is acting chief on an interim basis right now. We've had a large number of candidates apply for the job, and we're going to start interviews probably early next week. We're deciding that right now, trimming down the number of candidates who we will interview, and we have some very qualified people. So we're looking forward to that process. We're going to take our time. As we've learned with Tom, whose length of service here was a real blessing for us all.
Yeah.
So when you hire a chief of police, that's a long-term arrangement and a very important one. That position has a great deal of influence on the community in many ways, and as Tom did. His term was very beneficial.
It was, yes, and a number of very significant events that had to deal with our supposedly sleepy little community. Just one other thing. This caught a lot of attention, and I think for a lot of the parents, the younger folk with children. It's a very interesting program that is being put on by LMOA, a series of 6 seminar kind of programs beginning this coming Saturday, October 6th, here at the Fairway Clubhouse, called Parents, I don't know, Parenting, I'll botch the title, but it's for parents and for children between the ages of 8 and 18, dwelling on all of those questions, those difficult questions that both the kids and mommy and daddy, those issues they have to wrestle with, and with children of those years. And it sounds like a great program.
It is, and it's the kind of thing that we are very proud to host. It's a wonderful service, and I think that if I had young children now, mine are not quite young anymore, but I think it's a wonderful thing for parents facing the challenge of raising children in what some think is a difficult environment, not for me to say, but certainly I think normally, no matter what, raising children is something everybody wants to do as well as it can be done. So this is a terrific program that we're very pleased to be bringing here to the community, and people should consider that if they haven't already signed up. We would look forward to having an overflow crowd and having to either repeat it or build on that program.
Yeah.
And this is very similar to, this is part of an emphasis we have on activities for children. We had a teen dance a couple of weeks ago. There's another dance coming up and other activities in the planning stage. So we have been asked to do that, programming and activities for our younger residents. And this is part of that, a very important one. So I'm looking forward to great things from that program.
Oh, okay, that's great, and people can find the details and just basically going through the website. It's
That's
probably
correct.
an easy way to
Yes.
do. Here we go with the fall, and I'm sure everyone has noticed, and I gather that the Facebook traffic is rampant, as are the deer through neighborhoods, streets, all over the place. Have folks been chattering about this to you?
I understand they have, and I also understand it's been an issue for quite some time, and it arose in the past, the dim, distant past, which was yesterday or earlier than that. But I know a number of years ago it was a major subject of discussion, with not much concluded at that time, and it's come up again. Certainly the deer population is rampant. If you drive with your eyes open, you see the deer. So what I'm looking forward to is as it comes up this time, to a real deliberative process where the facts can be sorted out. And so eventually what we need in order to get decisions is information, background, and so forth to the board so they can decide. So the Wildlife Committee is perfectly positioned to do that. And I would encourage anybody that has a thought on the matter or an input to communicate with the Wildlife Committee. You can, they meet next week, and that's on our webpage. And I'm sure they would be glad to hear, even if it's just by email or in person, to attend. In fact, one person who's very interested in it and has written extensively on social media tells me that he plans to communicate with the Wildlife Committee to pursue that matter as the best venue to start, to sort out the facts, and then eventually provide some options to the board.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of background, a lot of research material available, and we certainly commend people to take a look at that, and so we don't have to necessarily plow the same ground all over again, but certainly worth discussing. All right.
Certainly is, and that's where the number of interested members of the community can really weigh in and make a difference with information and their views on things.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Well, is that doesn't clear your desk, I'm sure, for this week, but at any rate, it's worked you out enough probably, and certainly hit the high spots. And we thank you very much for being with us once again, and for us being with you. You've been watching GM's Corner, this series of regular short conversations with LMOA's General Manager Steve Hurwitz about what's on his desk and on his mind. We hope you'll join us again for future GM Corners, and also take in the full range of Broadcast Group productions on your good old Comcast Channel 977 or up on YouTube. So until the next time, on behalf of the LMOA Broadcast Group, I'm Ron Kraus. Thanks very much for watching, and good day.